I'm the kind of guy who rehearse a lot. I'm gonna record it. I'm gonna listen to it while running.
Do you try and run to the tempo of the music? I'm with my buddy Vic today, and we're going to be talking about the APC-40 MK2, which in my opinion is the, if not one of the strongest Ableton live controllers. Akai released like the next iteration of the APC-40 MK2, which in my opinion kind of just missed the mark. It's not quite as clear. The thing about the MK2 is that it's like a replica, like a hardware version replica of your live performance screen in Ableton. Even though it was recently discontinued, it's still the strongest and clearest and cleanest Ableton controller on the now used market. I actually ended up picking one up pretty soon after doing the video with Vic, just because I had to have one. It was very difficult finding one at a reasonable price, which is unfortunate, but it's definitely something I'll be exploring in my own musical workflow in the future. Vic's music, website, and socials are linked in the description of this video if you'd like to check that out. There's also an extended version of this video on my Patreon if you guys would like to support. And in the extended version, we have an interesting conversation about craft versus preparation, like the difference between those two things in the live electronic world, especially pertaining to the APC-40 MK2. There are chapters or timestamps linked in the description if you'd like to jump to something specific within this video. Use those. Ableton, APC-40 MK2. Let's get into this.
First thing I need to say is a lot of what I'm gonna show you here, I learned it from the Grandmaster Feek. You can check, I think, on his website, some kind of explanation of how to set up a live set. That's a big inspiration. There's my kind of special touch too that I'm gonna show to you. What you can see on this Ableton session, you have some colors and it's all divided in 8 tracks because I'm using this APC-40. And this APC-40 is made for this kind of work with Ableton. So what I do, it's the first track is for kicks, second track for bass, which is orange, and then snare yellow, hats white, percussion greenish, texture or FX purple, and then you have the other two that is for melody that is blue. Okay. So I can really know what's happening just by looking at the colors. The way I work, I think many people work like the opposite way, but what I do is I have my track because when I produce mostly with Ableton. So I have my tracks there. If I have a live set to prepare, I'm gonna take some of the tracks, my favorite one or the one I just released. I take some parts, my favorite parts of the tracks, and I make some loops with them. It's like chunks of my tracks. So then I have a session like this with maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 tracks that are in small bits. So I can
And you basically remix them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The fun part is that I can play with some chunks of one track and mix it with a chunk of another track. It's a way to play live my tracks. I kind of like that if people go see me in a show, if they listen to my album, they will recognize my thing because it's the same thing that I'm playing there. Of course, every time it's different. I'm playing a bit, but I'm the kind of guy who rehearse a lot. I'm gonna play many times. I'm gonna record it, I'm gonna listen to it while running, I don't know, and then okay, this sounds bad, I'm gonna work on this part and this transition.
Do you try and run to the tempo of the music?
I usually play at like 124 till 126, so I try to run at this pace. It's kind of fast. I kind of maybe play this as an instrument where it's my finger that knows where they're going. You know, when you rehearse a lot, like kind of a guitar, my fingers knows how to play at the end. I feel more secure maybe like this, so I know exactly where I'm going. I know some people take maybe a bit more risk. I do take some risk, but I have a core, a structure that I go inside. I think that it depends with different way of playing. So maybe it fits for some people. So that's the way I do it.
Okay.
I think what's the main ingredient, my secret weapon, and how I play with the APC-40 is that you have this 8 knob. It's in the old Ableton, you had like a maximum of 8 knob that macro control parameters. Now you can put some more, you can go to 16, I think maybe anymore in the last version of Ableton, but I think 8 is fine.
Yeah.
So I have on each track 8 parameters that I can control. So with the APC-40, you can choose like this, the track that you want to control. And you have this visual part, like the lights, that
perfect.
you can see where exactly where you are. Let's say I have this snare, okay? On each track, I have this knob which controls the gain. It's for gain staging. So if I have to do a sound check, I have my kick, my snare, my bass, everything. So I'm gonna make sure that this, if I put it at the maximum here, my volume is gonna be good. Maybe I'm gonna be slightly down and up. So I have to check this, and I don't really touch it after when it's set up. The second one is for, I really like this knob. It's bizarre because it's a simple thing, but it was kind of complicated to do it in Ableton. It's a low pass and high pass cutoff, but in the same knob. So you have low pass and this,
pass. In terms of the effects that you're using in Ableton, it's all stock effects?
No, I have some other effects. I'm trying to use mostly stock effects because some VST can be buggy sometimes or take a lot of processor power.
Do you use Max for Live?
A bit. This is another subject, but I program my own M4 Live stuff.
Nice.
It's all on my website. If you want, it's free for use. I have some stuff.
Send it to me.
Yeah. You have this low pass, high pass here, which is another macro that you have, of course, auto filters, but I add some limiters and I add some gain too. So when you move it, it's gonna be the same level of sound. This is my second knob. This one is for a delay. This one is for reverb, so pretty classic. And this is really fun. I'll show you a looper. And this one is shaper, so it just cuts some part of the loop. This one is like kind of a button that do some surprises.
Okay.
I put many effects on this, so it's like kind of a delay that change and move. So sometimes it sounds bad, sometimes it sounds good. Sometimes I want to do like some fucked up effect. I put this, and if it's good, I can loop it too. So you'll hear about that too. Let's say we have this one that is a kick.
Good.
Okay, so I have a kick. I have this one is a bass. Okay. Snare.
These are all like long samples as well.
Yeah, kind of. And I can change my this is another snare. I have like a bunch of snare, and I can go
how did you do that? How did you just switch like that?
This is all the different sound that are in the snare. So.
Okay, you don't have to switch all of the scenes at once. You could like jump.
Yeah, of course. Cool. So I can take the snare of whatever track of this track, and then that's another snare. So I can mix some part of the tracks like this.
Right.
Sometimes I'm gonna prepare some stuff. I can send them like the whole line together, so you can make like quick transition. But most of the time, I just press this one and this one and this one, and I could move like this.
Okay.
Same thing with my hats. I could take this hats. And for this track, I have kind of ambient melodic part. This is really long samples. First, some things that are easy to play with delay on the snare.
Yeah.
Low pass filter. Maybe I can show you the looper. So if I have this, I can just loop it. And what's fun with this, so it's looping, like the melodic part. You don't really hear it, but it's looping.
Oh, you have a sidechain?
Yeah, it's like kind of a sidechain, but it's only cutting the sound, but it's acting like a sidechain.
Okay.
I can show you maybe another use of it. Okay, let's say this thing. Okay, same thing. I can play with this, and I can loop it like this. See? And then you have it on the beats. That's it. Can put some delay.
Is the looper the tool you use most for transitions?
Yeah, kind of, but
Okay.
for whatever use, we can use it too on percussion and stuff. So let's say I have this. Then you put it back like this. So it's really quick and really easy to use. I can show you about this kind of weird button. So let's say if we have some looping, this effect that I did to it.
Okay. Oh,
The sound,
right.
the sound is supposed to sound like this,
Yeah.
but I put this kind of weird stuff. It's like delays and stuff,
Yeah.
and then I loop it. So you never know what's gonna happen with this, but it's always end up sounding kind of cool,
Okay.
you know? So something new. So this is a surprise, you know?
And then what are these two last ones we didn't touch?
So yeah, so
what are
this
these
is a reverb.
Okay.
So mostly for transition, if I want this one, I'm gonna put plenty of reverb. Then I can kill it. You know.
Okay.
The reverb is a classic way to get rid of a sound that you don't want anymore.
Yeah.
For transition, so it's delay, it's reverb, it's like really classic thing. And the looper can bring me to another place, and I can start mixing with new ideas that comes up. So yes, it's prepared, but I kind of know where I'm gonna put this looper. I know that it works there. I'm not gonna put them on any sound, you know.
Okay.
That's the part of the preparation is like, okay, I'm gonna play this place, this, and this. This is a good place to put the looper and to hang it in this zone for a while.
Right.
Sometimes I don't have it in this session, but I have like a kind of a timer like this. So when you press play, you can have an idea where you are. And sometimes what I do, it's in French, but I have some notes. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's like you have to leave this place after 10 minutes. Okay. So don't get lost on this first place.
Right.
And I have a note here. You should be at around 25 minutes when you're here.
Okay. The next thing that Vic and I talk about is the dilemma of changing keys within a live set, which of course, depending on the genre that you're in, might be a difficult thing to do. Before getting into that though, let's talk about today's sponsor, DistroKid. If you are looking for ways to independently and officially release your music to all major streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, all the rest, you probably already know that DistroKid is the best choice. Let's get into a few reasons why they're number one for people like you and I. In terms of what's new, they recently released a smartphone app, which makes checking your important DistroKid stats easy and accessible. The app is now available on Android through the Play Store. Essentially everything that you've been able to do on the DistroKid desktop app, you're now able to do through your smartphone. In fact, here's a list of key features that the app offers you. You might want to pause it now if you want to check them out. In today's day and age, we all know how many hats we have to wear as artists and producers. It can just be a lot, so write the music, produce the music. Then you've got to create content to promote it a few weeks before it's released. Then you've got to continue creating content after it's been released to promote it. It's a lot, and I'm not saying that DistroKid does all of this work for you, but they do make it a lot easier for us with the free promotional tools that they offer. The one I use most is Hyperfollow. It's essentially a free landing page or link tree. It's super clean. You could link maybe your latest video, your latest single, other important links you'd like to lead people to. I also use promo cards whenever I release a single. Just select the single that you would like to promote and it'll auto-generate a few different options for you to choose from. Go with DistroKid. It's just over $20 a year to release unlimited music to all major streaming platforms. You keep 100% of your streaming royalties. So many other tools that they offer for someone who's independent. they're made for us. And there is a discount linked in the description of this video if you would like to join. I'm assuming that a lot of your samples are in different keys. How do you glue everything together?
That's why I have like kind of a place of transition like this. So I know that maybe the first 3 tracks will be in the same key, and I know that I'll have to do a key transition maybe between 3 and 4. If I want to combining melodic parts, I'm gonna stay with my 3 first tracks. But if I want to put some snares and hi-hat, I can go wherever I want. But yeah, that's a thing I plan when I'm gonna leave this key and going somewhere else in another zone.
Right.
How I'm gonna transition a key change.
Okay.
It's not easy to transition a key change.
No,
I find sometimes you can play only with drums and percussions and stuff, and
that's
leave
like
it a bit.
This is
like
part of the reason why I've sort of stepped into the techno realm.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is just atonal, right?
Yeah. I asked some people playing with the same setup, and I asked them, how do you do some key change? And they said, I put everything in C. Like, okay. But in C minor, like, I don't know. So it feels like about the same. But sometimes I do think that kind of a tonal change can change the mood.
Yeah.
I play a lot in my tracks with ambient kind of evolving stuff that are changing. And sometimes I just feel that this chord fits well and I'm not going to move everything in C minor. So sometimes it can be complicated to move from one track to another, but I just have to know it.
Are there moments in your set where you're kind of just like pressing a button? I don't know what this is going to sound like right now, but I'm going to go for it.
No, I know it. I know it.
You always know it.
Yeah, for me, it's more fun when you know where you're going and you leave spots where you can just play, but you know it's gonna sound good. For me, the whole thing of a live set is to find this balance between what you know you're gonna do. It's still playing with button. I used to play guitar and piano, so I know that when it's in my fingers, my finger knows where to play. So this is kind of a memory of fingers, like a musician. So I know some people like it to be more like in the wild, and you don't know how it's gonna sound, and you just do it with it.
Example is Pat, right?
Yeah,
Stereo Image, like that's his whole thing. His whole approach is from start to finish, it's completely improvised.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
In my approach, what I want to do is to play my track and to play live my track that I've released and that I've done.
At this point, you know which ones are going to work.
Yeah, you have to say that this is a skeleton. I could play a track only with the APC-40 and Ableton. It's doable. If I'm traveling and I only have this in my backpack and my computer, I could play a set. But for a bigger show, I'm going to have my modular. And what I do with my modular setup, I'm going to have some places in my set that, okay, this part is modular time. Okay, so usually I did this a lot of time. My intro is modular. So this is all patched already. Sometimes ambient with some glitches too, some kind of a feeling, but it's modular stuff. And often maybe a half of the set I'm going all modular, and sometimes I mix it too with some sound that I know that it's gonna fit. With the TR-8S, I have fun playing everything, and I can stick in a song for a long time. So that's the fun part with this. It's once you're in a track, you can play with many things. You see that people are enjoying it, but why not just playing with it and just have fun? A cool use of the fader. If you have too many percussions and you don't want to play them at the same time, you can group them. So you have 2 percussion, you put this one in A and this one in B.
Okay.
So you can switch the percussion from A to B. I used those knobs too. I think in some live set I put my low pass, high pass filter in there, so it was easier to play.
Like master?
No, so this is like
per channel.
Yeah, per channel.
Okay.
So you can go panning, sense, or user.
Okay.
When you go on user, you can put whatever you want there. So you can put something that it's gonna be the same knob, because for this you have to change track to access the knob.
Yeah.
But for this you don't have to change it.
Okay.
It's only there. The faders, you have your clips, you have effects, and I used to have MIDI tracks too. But I just put samples all the way now.
This is something that I've been dabbling with. I literally have the same setup as you, just not with the APC-40, but I used Ableton in the same way with my setup, with the TR-8S.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered having maybe a sequencer over top of that? That's maybe sequencing something MIDI in Ableton. So a perfect example is the Oxy one, where I improvise live over top of the tracks that I already have.
I was doing this with my modular synthesizer. So I was playing with MIDI stuff. I think it's really cool what we can do with this, but I think my brain that like to have stuff prepared, I was still preparing like kind of my melodic parts that I knew that what was playing.
Okay.
So it depends of how your brain works, I guess.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy being myself when you're on the stage, and I like to exactly know what I'm doing so I don't stress too much.
Yeah.
And I have fun.